Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. Hey, if you haven't already, you know what to do. But in case you don't, hit the like and subscribe button. We are on our way to 5,000 subscribers, less than 100 to go, but we can't do it without your help. And today I wanted to talk about the playoffs, specifically the mental game. You know, I've ranted and raved about Georgia laying down for Alabama, but you know what? The more I thought about it, I don't think that's what happened. Surprise, I know, changing my mind. That's not allowed, Golden Blue Dude. Well, I did it. Now I think Alabama beats their opponents before they even get on the field. Because there's no way that a team that looked mediocre during the regular season, Alabama, and a team that looked elite, one of the all-time greatest teams we've seen, Georgia, suddenly switched spots. That doesn't happen. It doesn't make sense. Unless you can get into their heads before the game is even played. Alabama beats their opponents before the game is even played most of the time. And that's exactly what happened in the SEC Championship. So as we look into the playoffs, has Alabama already beaten Cincinnati? I mean, the game hasn't even been played. We still got several days before the Cotton Bowl is going to be played. And contrary to popular belief, Georgia was tested before they played Alabama. In fact, they had 4 common opponents with Alabama. They whooped Arkansas 37-0. Alabama barely beat Arkansas 42-35. Georgia slaughtered Auburn 34-10. Alabama survived Auburn 24-22. Once again, Georgia dismantled Tennessee 41-17. Alabama did stretch the lead there at the end 52-25. But there for a while, that was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. And then, of course, Florida. Georgia, no troubles with Florida, 34-7. And we all know Alabama struggled again with Florida, but they did win 31-29. And besides that, Georgia beat Clemson, who did finish in the top 20, 10-3. And they beat a good Kentucky team who finished in the top 25, 30-13. So Georgia has beaten some pretty good teams. And the common opponents between Georgia and Alabama, Georgia no trouble, Alabama struggled. But Alabama also dismantled Ole Miss 42-21. We cannot forget about that. And Ole Miss is a good team. But the loss at Texas A&M, 41-38. Let's look at the other 2 teams in the playoffs as well. Cincinnati, they actually got tested 3 times. At number 8, Notre Dame, which they won, no issues, 24-13. UCF is a good team. They just beat Florida convincingly, and Florida gave Alabama issues. Well, Cincinnati took care of UCF 56-21. And then, of course, the AAC Championship game, no trouble whatsoever with Houston, 35-20. And Houston is a good team as well. Now, Michigan, really only 3 games, and one of them they lost. And that was to Michigan State, 37-33. But if you watch the game, man, that had the ref's fingerprints all in home cooking right there. But they also took care of Ohio State finally, 42-27. And then in the Big Ten Championship, Iowa had no shot whatsoever. 42-3 was the final score. So Michigan, they have been tested. Now let's look at the stats. How do these teams stack up statistically? Well, Georgia, head and shoulders above everybody. 39.4 points per game, that's 7th in the nation. Allowed only 9.5 points per game, that's number 1 in the nation. What about Alabama? 42.5 points per game, that's 4th in the nation. Very good offense. Allowed 20.2 points per game, 18th. Top 20 defense. What about Cincinnati? 39.2 points per game, that's 8th. Allows 16.1 points per game, that's 4th. Not bad, very balanced. And then there's Michigan, 37.7 points per game. That's 12th in the nation. And they also allow 16.1 points per game. That's 5th in the nation. So they're pretty balanced as well. A little bit better on defense. So if you look at the stats between all 4 of these teams, there's only one team that's better on offense than they are on defense. And that's Alabama. All the other 3 are better on defense than they are on offense. Very interesting. And that has not boded well for teams in the past. Last year, the only team that was better defensively than offensively was Notre Dame, and they got destroyed. So that's another thing to think about. Then, of course, the key player, the quarterback. Who has the best quarterback? Well, we already know the answer, but by how much? Let's look at the best quarterback first, and that's Bryce Young, the quarterback for Alabama. Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young. 314 for 462, that's 68% threw for 4,322 yards, 43 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. The next best quarterback belongs to Cincinnati, and that's quarterback Desmond Ridder. 234 for 355, that's 65.9%. Threw for 3,190 yards, 30 touchdowns, and just 8 interceptions. And he's been Cincinnati's quarterback for 4 years. Experience matters. So who's the next best quarterback? Believe it or not, Stetson Bennett, the quarterback for Georgia. He's 148 for 231, 64.1%, threw for 2,325 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And then finally, the quarterback for Michigan, Cade McNamara. 199 for 308, that's 64.6%, threw for 2,470 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Honestly, he's more of a game manager. Now, Stetson Bennett, this is his 3rd year at Georgia. For Cade McNamara, only his 2nd year at Michigan. But when we look at Bryce Young, this is really just his first full year as a quarterback at Alabama. So does that even matter? Well, having the best quarterback does matter. I'm talking about experience. So really, to me, this boils down to one thing, and that's the mental game. If you let Alabama beat you before you even get on the field, you have no chance. Can Cincinnati avoid that? Well, Luke Fickell, he's not used to these types of situations. He did perform well as a coach last year in the Peach Bowl against Georgia. Cincinnati just about beat Georgia, but came a field goal short. So he is tested. Then there's Jim Harbaugh. Well, he got to the Super Bowl while he was at San Francisco, but lost that. While he's been at Michigan, not really. What about Kirby Smart at Georgia? Well, he just proved that Nick Saban is renting space in his head. I mean, Georgia laid an egg against Alabama. An absolute egg. So the matchup between Georgia and Michigan as far as coaches go, it might favor Michigan, even though Jim Harbaugh really hasn't been tested as far as playoffs or national championships or anything like that. Kirby has. And of course, Cincinnati and Alabama, definitely Alabama has the advantage. So Cincinnati could have the better team, but Alabama has the better coach, and he's pretty stinking good at beating his opponents before they even play. So the big question for me is, can these teams get over that mental hurdle before they even start the game, before the first snap even happens? Because all it takes is one touchdown drive, and they're the better team. You have to go into these games thinking that you're the better team. The Alabama brand, mighty Alabama, Coach Bear Bryant, Coach Nick Saban, most national championships. I mean, that is intimidating. But this is in the here and the now. You're not playing history. You're not playing all those past national championship teams. You're playing the team of this year. You have got to get that brand out of your head. You have to get who you're playing out of your head. You have to look at them as just another victim, just another team. If you can get the word Alabama out of your head, you have a chance. But if not, you have no chance. That is the only way anybody has a shot of beating Alabama. Thinking of them as not Alabama. Another victim, another team, another hurdle. They're just in your way. That's how you have to think about it. We'll see if any of these teams can clear that mental hurdle. That'll be key to this year's playoffs. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.